Most people wander through life without a clue where they're going. But what if you could wake up every day knowing exactly what you're working towards? In this video, I'll share with you why I believe a purposeful goal is a non-negotiable in life and how you may be thinking of finding one for yourself. So about 2 years ago, I came across a question that I avoided for many, many years before. And strangely enough, this question, like most other questions that are really important to find an answer to, was quite straightforward and quite simple. The question was, what do you really want? So this time, however, I had to really figure it out. I knew that the answer to it will give me what I was looking for, that kind of peace of mind and the kind of inner purpose and fulfillment that I was looking for to have in my everyday existence. I knew by that time that no matter how much external success I managed to obtain and get for myself, it's not enough. And the void that I feel inside for not having this kind of feeling that I can actually serve the world in the best way I can will definitely not leave me until I find this answer, right, to this question. What do I really, really, really want? It proves that the answer to this question is what I call a purposeful goal. And why a purposeful goal and not just an ordinary goal? Well, first of all, because the kind of ordinary goals that we tend to set for ourselves, so we get this kind of short-lived pleasure and satisfaction with ourselves, these kind of goals, these kind of successes, they are not conducive to a peaceful and fulfilling everyday existence. It's simply not the case. Achieving goals for the sake of achieving goals are just compensatory mechanisms to alleviate a momentary pressure for actually not living the kind of life that you know you would like to live instead. So, finding a purposeful goal, first of all, it's a complicated thing. It's very difficult to find it. And it's one of the reasons it's difficult is because it forces you to confront your inner self, to look inwards and sit with yourself and be really authentic with yourself and genuine and truthful, and ask yourself, what is it indeed that you really want to do in this life? So why is it also very difficult is because the answer to this question is typically not about you only. A purposeful goal is not a selfish goal. A purposeful goal is typically in the service of others. And in a paradoxical way, if you want to work in service of others, you have to expose yourself because you have to serve them. And if you have to serve them, it means that you have to be there for them fully. And in order to be there for them fully, you have to allow them to see you for who you really are. And if you don't let yourself investigate and understand deeper who you really, really are at your core, in your inner essence, then how would you expose that sensitive core to others' judgment? Can you see why this is difficult? At the same time, I can tell you that finding a purposeful goal is highly rewarding. It's rewarding because you realize that executing the daily activities that will take you towards that goal is more rewarding than achieving the goal itself. Why? Very simple. Because you would operate daily against your own values. Everything that you will do in terms of daily activities, in terms of actions, will be guided by the kind of values that you live for, right? All your experience is in alignment with values that you consciously are aware of or not. And most conflicts in people's life come from doing things which are not in alignment with their values. But because they are not clear consciously on those values, they force the kind of behavior that will put them in a resisting state, because unconsciously they know that what they are doing is not really conducive to their own values, right? So they feel this kind of resistance. So another reason why a purposeful goal is very important is because you will not be challenged by life in the same way. When you are pursuing a goal for the sake of achieving that goal only, and you don't really care about the means to end up reaching it, and you tend to discount the present moment and your day-to-day engagement with life for that end destination, when you do that, you basically take the situations at face value, meaning that if something, objectively speaking, negative happens to you, you will start to get opposed and offensive to that situation, right? You will start to judge and criticize the situation and deem it unnecessary, um, which would not happen if you would always go towards this goal, this purposeful goal. Because this purposeful goal will act as a positive emotional anchor for you to guide you and give you a sense of direction. So, this goal will allow you to basically contextualize hardship and not see it as a negative thing necessarily, but simply as a testament, as a test of faith, as a testament to your future self, as a means to prove yourself that you are worthy of this destination when you reach it. So, this is very powerful because it changes the way you relate to what happens to you in a constructive, positive way. Instead of thinking that life happens to you and you default into victimhood and thinking that life is unfair and you should not go through whatever challenges you are going through, when you have a purposeful goal, something aspirational that you want to reach, you realize that every single challenge on that journey is meant to be a necessary stepping stone for you to reach that destination. So, not only that you will not challenge the situation, you will not judge it, you will not interpret it at face value as it appears to you, negative, positive, good, bad. These kind of labels will not have a real meaning anymore, simply because you realize that each experience, each event is part of your story, is part of your journey, is the immediate next milestone that you have to go through in order to reach that destination, right? What's also important about a purposeful goal is that once it becomes vivid in your mind, once you get this kind of strong emotional attachment to it, and once you visualize it clearly, everything fades away. All the doubts, all the negotiations that you tend to have with yourself, they lose their power and grip on you, because you realize that this is what you want, and this thing is more important to you than any other challenge. And not only that, you will not be taken aback by the challenges, but you will use those challenges as fuel. So they will just propel you even more towards the goal. So I hope that by now I made it a a bit clear why this kind of purposeful goal is useful in life, because it simply reframes what you're living in a way that is conducive to a better quality of life. If you are not challenged and if you are not judging every situation in a way that makes you fearful and anxious and doubt yourself and fuel some sort of worries and mental noise, if you're just focusing on the destination in terms of aspirational goal, like where you want to go, then everything that happens on a day-to-day basis is something that you will value and appreciate, because you know that this is the exact thing that you need to reach that end. It's worth also mentioning that all worthwhile goals in life are difficult and that growth requires hardship. You cannot grow, you cannot evolve as a human being if you stay in comfort. And these kind of goals, they are meant to take you out of comfort. They are meant to challenge you, because ultimately, when you reach that goal, you want to become, in the end, a different kind of person. Clearly, the kind of person that the person that you are now, the identity that you have now, it's not the identity who lives that goal, because if it would be the case, you would already live that reality, right? That ideal self, you would already embody that identity. So the goal, ultimately, the rewarding aspect of pursuing a purposeful goal is mostly the becoming process, who you will have to be at each day in order to close the gap until today and that day when that goal will materialize. And the biggest investment is ultimately in yourself, because what or who you become by the time you achieve that goal is definitely much more important than the goal itself. So the investment is in you. The investment, it's not really in achieving that goal. That goal is like a bonus, it's just a cherry on the cake. It's not really that important in the end. So another element that is important is that this kind of goal forces you really to clarify your own priorities. I talked about essentialism in a different video before, and I found it very appealing as a concept. Essentialism is about wanting fewer things, but becoming better at doing those things, right? And this is in alignment with having fewer priorities and becoming more committed and more focused on executing the activities that are in line with those priorities. And those priorities implicitly match your values, right? So for me, it's my family, it's work. This kind of activity that I'm doing now, this is for me very purposeful to share this kind of knowledge that I gathered throughout the years with you. And that's about it. And my health, of course. I want to stay healthy, but it's also related to my family in a way. So what I'm doing it not because it benefits me directly, but because it benefits the people that I care about first, and indirectly I get to benefit out of it. So I see self-development as an altruistic um, gesture, if you want, a way to present the best version of myself to people who matter most to me, so they get to model the kind of person that I would like them to model, right? I'm talking about my children specifically. So I think this is very powerful overall. A purposeful goal allows you to focus on what matters most to you, to have fewer distractions, to not have always the fear that you're missing out on life, because you are clear on what you actually want to do with your life and why you want to do that. And basically, yeah, everything it's much simpler then. You are not getting distracted, you are not getting pulled in all possible directions, you are not getting overloaded mentally with all the different things that catch your attention. You now know exactly what you want to do. So in terms of finding such a goal for yourself, it all starts with you having the courage to sit down with yourself 5 minutes a day without any kind of external stimulus and be honest with yourself and do some sort of an audit, of an internal audit about how you feel, about what's most important to you, about what are the kind of activities in the day that are generative for you, that give you energy, don't take energy away from you. And try to isolate those and see how you can do, what kind of goals you can have in life that force you in a way to do more of the things that you find joyful and that fuel you, that give you energy on a day-to-day basis. Because by simply doing those activities, irrespective of reaching the goal, you live better. You have a better quality of life simply because you love doing what you're doing. And that's the most important thing at the end of the day. The destinations, the goals themselves are just momentary blips, if you want, in your own human experience, not even thinking about the macro scale. But when you reach a goal, it's just, one day, one moment. And then what? What happens then? The journey is indeed much more important than the goal itself, because the journey is more than 99% of the whole thing, right? Your whole life is a journey. So it's much more important to spend time in identifying exactly what your values are. So most of your life gets to be spent in doing the kind of activities that are generative, that give you energy, that make you feel like you're living. Because if you're just chasing a goal for the sake of having that thing, which is typically a material possession, it's just such a waste. Because you are discounting, you are devaluing every single day until you get to that goal, just to realize in a few days after that this was not really the kind of thing that can, feed you and fill this kind of void that you have inside. So give it a thought. Take your time, don't rush it. This is something that will take many months, most probably. It took me years, but it's definitely worth the journey. It's worth the dedication, because there is no better project for you in life. The goal is to minimize your future regrets. The goal is to find as soon as possible the things that when you look back 10 years, 20 years, 30 years from now, you will see that you lived your life in a way that was truthful to you, in a way that you have no regrets. So I wish you luck.